This map shows our 24-hour global time grid. We navigate our entire lives by it, treating it like an absolute law of physics handed down by the cosmos. In reality, it's a relatively recent artificial invention. Look closely at this railway timetable. This rigid schedule was built during the Industrial Revolution for a very specific purpose. They needed a way to coordinate train movements across distances without crashing. The friction we feel today happens because we are forcing a fluid, organic human brain to synchronize with a system built for cast iron gears. We are running our biology on machine time. When you try to manage human energy like a mechanical train schedule, the system breaks. The result is chronic burnout, a friction felt most intensely by neurodivergent individuals whose minds simply do not run on clockwork. Machine time forces our lives into a binary calendar format. The grid assumes you are either 100% free or 100% busy. That binary grid collapses when applied to human bandwidth. Neurodivergent brains operate on fluctuating capacity. Energy rises and falls based on the day, the environment, and the task. An hour of deep focus on a Tuesday is not the same as an hour of meetings on a Friday. To build a system that actually works, we have to move past the industrial grid. We need a new vocabulary that measures our actual capacity rather than counting mechanical ticks. The first step in this rebuild is letting go of the exact timestamp. Instead of scheduling a meeting for exactly 3 p.m., we replace that fixed point with a relative duration. We measure life in blocks. If 2 people agree to talk for 3 blocks, they are committing to an hour of shared experience. That hour takes the exact same amount of time to live through, regardless of what local time zone either person is sitting in. To anchor that shared block of time, the measurement simply begins the exact moment those 2 users engage. This creates what we call the anchor of now. Measuring by blocks strips away the anxiety of a strict schedule. It shifts the focus away from hitting a precise minute on a clock and places it entirely on the quality of the shared experience. This interface replaces rigid calendars with an availability slider, charting human bandwidth. Size indicates state. Tiny slivers are unscheduled, hatched blocks are busy, and full-height blocks are free. Dragging the sliders updates the color spectrum live, visually mapping your capacity. Looking at this mobile view, floating colored circles allow you to communicate the nuance of your availability. The slider effectively asks a biological question: how much fuel is actually left in the tank tonight? This capacity-based UI directly translates fluctuating biological energy into functional, stress-free scheduling data. But there is still a massive logistical hurdle. We have to synchronize this communication across the globe without fighting the conflicting reality of local biological time zones. We solve the problem by divorcing time entirely from numbers and geography, mapping a 24-hour color spectrum physically onto the rotating Earth. A single planetary moment is assigned a universal color. Blue is blue because of the planet, not the clock on your wall. This planetary spectrum introduces the z-axis of time. It takes a concept we have exclusively treated as a flat, linear schedule and gives it a volume we can navigate. By utilizing this universal rainbow, humanity stops desperately translating time zones. We begin sharing a singular planetary frequency. By adding this planetary z-axis, we're essentially turning our traditional 2-dimensional map of time into a 3-dimensional shape. It functions less like a flat grid and more like a Rubik's Cube of time. The vocabulary for this experience doesn't exist yet, simply because we haven't had digital tools that match our internal rhythms. The goal is what the creators call unconditional communication. It means removing the industrial conditions, the geographical time zones, and the binary busy boxes, and replacing them with a system that only asks about our current bandwidth and our willingness to connect. By trading machine ticks for fluid blocks and planetary colors, we move closer to a system that acknowledges our biology. It's an attempt to make the tools of the digital world reflect the actual rhythms of